Hola contactados, si la primera parte de esta entrevista te dejó con la boca abierta, prepárate. En esta segunda entrega, Chris McKinnell, nieto de Ed y Lorraine Warren, nos contará de los casos más desafiantes que enfrentaron sus abuelos, objetos que aún hoy se consideran peligrosos, manifestaciones intensas y situaciones que, incluso dentro del Museo de los Warren, siguen generando actividad. Además, Chris nos cuenta cómo continúa investigando hoy en día y qué pasa cuando el miedo se convierte en parte del trabajo. Vamos con la segunda parte.
Chris, I know that you were working on the Nazi demon case. Can you tell us a little more about it?
Yeah, I worked with this team in Germany, basically just as a consultant. They're not a member of our foundation. And 3 years ago, they had investigated this ancient school that had belonged to the Nazis. It was for girls, and it was to indoctrinate them, to have them make lots of children for the Führer and the fatherland. And down in the basement, they were doing occult practices, occult rituals. There was an upside down crucifix on one wall, and there was an upside down pentagram on the opposite wall, and a ditch running through the middle of the room. They had checked it out for a couple of days, and they said, there's plenty of activity, but it seems safe. They were pretty new at the time. So they decided to bring the public into this very negative place. One of the people they brought in was a woman with psychic abilities. And while they were there, she saw this little girl in rags, and she felt very bad for the girl. And as she was about to reach out her hand to take the girl's hand, this child entity had this evil grin, and she pushed away from the girl immediately, and the girl turned hideous and dark. Not long afterward, the woman was at home. She was not a member of the team, she was a member of the public at that point. She was at home, and there was a knock on the door. She and her 2 boys went to the door, and there was a little girl standing out there with only a sweater on and socks, and it was the middle of the winter. And the girl asked if her dog was in the home, and they said, no, there's no dog here. And she closed the door. The boys said, no, it's cold, she'll freeze to death, let her in. She opened the door, and the girl was gone, and there was no way she could have just disappeared. Right after that, within a couple of weeks, they were in another abandoned building. This was a church, and the girl materialized in front of both this woman and another investigator. Over the next 3 years, this entity would show up again and again and again at their cases before they arrived, 2 or 3 weeks before. Wow. Because it knew that they were coming. It even attacked this woman's husband. He was going down the stairs to the basement. And you know how in a horror film, sometimes you look down a hallway and all of a sudden the hallway goes on forever and ever and ever? Right. Well, the way he describes it, he was on the bottom step, or second to the last step, and all of a sudden it stretched out into infinity. And he lost his balance. He said something pushed him from behind. He went down hard, and he landed on his foot, and he broke all the bones in the top of his foot. Another woman who I work with in this team, it didn't attack her either, but it did attack her daughter. It pulled her out of bed, it clawed her, it even pulled her out of her own body and projected her into this hellish scenario. We talked to the family, we talked to the team about what they could do to protect themselves. We sent them certain items to help them. We also told them that you should get rebaptized, and you should also make sure that you don't bring anybody into that place until that place is cleansed completely. And you can't work on any cases until you are free of this attachment. They were able to get a hold of a priest, and they were able to take care of all of that. And according to them, right now, everything is going fine.
How long was this ago?
Less than a month.
Oh, wow. So it's very recent. And
Yeah.
so this entity, this demon, was able to attach to the investigators and somehow hurt even family members or themselves in a manner that you would say, here.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, and in a lot of other ways as well. They tore the team apart people came and went quickly because they were terrified or because they were being attacked. There were a lot of health problems, a lot of financial problems, devastating issues that plagued them for the past 3 years.
That is something also for the viewers that you can be attacked, not only physically hurt, but it can hurt your finances, your loved ones, and the environment on your family and stuff like that, right?
Absolutely. But I hesitate to ever blame the paranormal unless there's a lot of evidence that there is actually something paranormal, because you can self-manifest phenomena. In other words, if you believe it's paranormal, then you can attract that kind of phenomena to you, even though there wasn't already something there. Because you believe in it so much, you can start to make these things happen.
So it's kind of like opening the window, say, here,
It's the same thing like with poltergeists. You tap into some energy, but there's no actual spirit there. And then things get bad because of your energy interacting with whatever happens to be there.
Like telekinesis?
Yes, exactly. We actually have 2 psychic support groups with the Warren Legacy Foundation. One of them is in Spanish. It is only for psychics, but we help them to develop their abilities or control them. A lot of people just want to suppress them, and we find different ways to help them manage what they deal with. So I'm pretty proud of that one. We've got about 700 members around the world right now.
Wow, that is a lot.
Yeah.
Yes, and as you mentioned, some people have these abilities, and sometimes they just denied it, for so long.
Exactly.
And it gets to a point, or it gets to a breaking point, right?
Mm-hmm. I used to use my abilities all the time, but I found when I was a young man that I scared people too much. How do you know? How do you know that about me? Strangers did not want that. They may tell you they want you to reveal their secrets and give me a reading. But the truth is, when you tell them the truth, it really bothers them. So I suppressed my abilities for decades. It's only recently that I've started using them more. But even then, I only use them sparingly. I'm not comfortable with them.
It will be really great for the viewers also if you can send us some materials on the case that you have worked on, that nasty demon. Are you working now on a different case? Are you planning to go to a different case?
Oh, I'm working on a lot of different cases right now. We're an international foundation. We're everywhere. I've got a case. I'm an exorcist as well, and we've got a case down in London. Unfortunately, with lockdown, we're all in lockdown here in Scotland, so I can't get to London to do the exorcism on this poor guy. He has been in an institution, a psychiatric institution, for 20 years, ever since he was cursed. He was perfectly normal. Then he ran into a Nigerian black magic user who cursed him, and he immediately came under possession. And he's been dealing with this, being tortured and hurt for the past 20 years. So my goal is to get down there and free him. Well,
that is
God
amazing.
will free him. I'm just going to be there.
Let's talk now a little bit about the movies, the Conjuring
Sure.
movies. Talk also about the case that had on Amityville.
Mm-hmm.
What do you know about it? I know there was investigation done by your grandparents in there, and they have a lot of information, documented information.
It was a bad case. It was very real. It was actually, my grandmother said it was as close to hell as she ever hopes to get. It really affected her badly. My grandfather, the same thing. He actually was down in the basement after they had tried to do a seance, tried to figure out what they were dealing with, and they didn't manage. And he went downstairs by himself, and he said it felt like a heavy, wet blanket being thrown over him, and he was forced to his knees. My grandmother, when she went upstairs with the news crew that had invited them in, she said it was like trying to walk against a raging river, just trying to get up those stairs. There's that famous photo of a child looking out of the bedroom door. But if you look, that child doesn't have eyes. It's got white lights. That photo was taken by a news photographer. It wasn't taken by my grandparents. It was actually taken by a reputable news photographer.
Right.
And it looks just like one of the children who had been murdered in the house. It is not a ghost. It is a demon. Yeah. My grandfather would tell you that demons never duplicate a person perfectly. There's always a defect. And when you look at that photo, you can see it's the eyes.
That's a very, very great story. And it's a very heavy investigation, when you feel that heaviness that sometimes people don't understand, when somebody or a paranormal investigator calls this house is heavy, it's exactly how you
yeah, exactly how it feels. You feel a heaviness, you feel a weight on you. Absolutely. If you're an empath or a psychic, you will pick that up.
So which one of these Warren universe movies is the one that you most like?
Oh, Conjuring 1, without a doubt. That was the most accurate. I thought it was the best. Conjuring 2, there are the two cases they discuss in Conjuring 2 are very real. Amityville and Enfield, England. But there was no connection between those cases, and there certainly was no demonic nun. And my grandparents, my grandmother didn't wade through a basement full of water to go to the bedroom to save my grandfather, who's hanging out of a bedroom window and shouts the name Balak, and magically the demon disappears. And that was ridiculous. The Nun is also another Conjuring movie, but there's nothing true about that movie at all, except at the very end, during the credits, you will see a clip of the character known as Frenchie in the movie.
Right.
His real name was Maurice Theriault, and that was one of my cases. I was there for that his exorcism. He came under possession a lot, and it was a horrifying case.
And he had that mark on his the cross mark?
He had crosses on his back, scratched into his back. I saw those myself. Blood coming through his t-shirt and everything. Right after he had come under possession in front of me. And I told him, I need that t-shirt with the blood. I want to get it analyzed. I want to have it as proof. He took that t-shirt off and he handed it to me, and there was no blood on it. It was gone.
It's just vanished?
Gone. Just like that. Blood still on his back. Blood had soaked through that shirt, but it was gone when he handed it to me. During that exorcism, my grandfather was having a heart attack. He ended up in the hospital the next morning. You can hear my grandmother on the video saying, Ed, why don't you have a banana? Maybe your potassium is low. Because that's what she thought it was.
Wow.
My grandmother was one of the most powerful psychics in the world. But when it came to her loved ones, and this is true of almost every psychic, well, no, it is true of every psychic I've ever known. They can't read their loved ones because their emotions get in the way. My grandmother didn't see the heart attack.
Wow. How long did this exorcism take?
The exorcism took about an hour. In the video, you can see he's drooling blood. He starts to cry tears of blood. His face takes on a scaly appearance. His forehead cracks open. Let me think. It's on this side. His forehead cracks open. Then he's completely under possession. His eyes are slit like a snake. Unfortunately, even though the exorcism went really well, Bishop McKenna did a wonderful job. We didn't deal with the underlying problems that made him vulnerable, the things that made his life so dark. And a few years later, he came under possession again. He did exactly what his own father had done. There was a time, his father was a monster, and his father had called him one day and said, Maurice, I just want you to know I love you. It was the first time his father had ever said that to him. He put down the phone without hanging it up, and he picked up his gun. He went in the next room. He killed Maurice's mother, and then he killed himself. As I said, after the exorcism, a few years later, Maurice waited for his wife to come home. He went outside, he shot her with a shotgun and blew her arm off. He then dragged her into the house. She was sure she was gonna die. He sat there looking at her for long minutes, and then just when she thought she was going to be killed, he turned the gun on himself and he killed himself. It isn't a game. You're dealing with people's lives. This isn't something you do as a hobby. It's either a calling or don't do it at all.
That's shocking. I mean, well, it's sad, and also it tells you also on some of the paranormal investigators what are your limits and when do you really need to call for help.
When your ego gets in the way, then it's not about God anymore. And when that happens, you open yourself up and you open your clients up to death and pain and terror. You stay humble, you stay faithful, and you never think for a second that anything you're doing is powered by you. It isn't you. As the investigator, You're not the superhero. God is the superhero.
So tell us a little more about these possessions. What do you think are the most common clues, or maybe what it helps you to identify a real possession and not something that is mental or medical, maybe?
True possession is incredibly rare. I've been doing this now, going on 40 years.
Wow.
No, 40 years. That's right. And I've only done 4 or 5 exorcisms so far. I never thought I was going to end up an exorcist. It was a matter of necessity a few years ago, and from there I've had to do a few. But my background is in psychology and quantum physics and education. 95% of what we deal with is psychological or psychic. A lot of psychic manifestations, which is just human. But that other 5% can be pretty bad. Real possession, there are 3 basic stages to any haunting. Infestation, where everything is outside of the body, where, things are flying around the room, you're hearing knocking noises, cold spots, whatever, EVPs. Then you have something called oppression, when the thing starts to work its will upon you, but you still have free will. You're having personality changes, you're getting angry and negative more often, maybe you're depressed, and all of that is being caused by this entity, trying to soften you up so that it can eventually destroy you and take you over. Remember though, you are the psychic battery that they're feeding off of. If you can control your fear, and if you can latch onto your faith, you can expel it.
And that's the final intention of this entity is basically destroy your life, right?
Yeah, you and everyone around you. Destroy your relationships, your family, your life.
Out of these cases that you've been working with the Warren's Legacy Foundation, what is the most that you remember is the most shocking, the most intense that you had over these years?
Sadly, I was working with a gentleman in New Jersey in the United States. His name was Jose, and he was a very devout Catholic, and he was coming under possession all the time. I mean, in 1 hour-and-a-half conversation I had with him, I watched him come under possession 15 or 20 times.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, I'm used to psychological issues like Tourette's syndrome, where you just start, yelling out words and stuff. But this was different. This was malevolent. It was truly evil. And the church got involved. They agreed he was definitely under possession. They had gone through and they'd done all the medical tests and psychological evaluations and everything else. And they realized, yes, this man is under possession. And they wanted to do an exorcism. But unfortunately, the church moved too slowly. And this happens, unfortunately, too often. And his wife came home. He was under possession. And he said, screw it, I'm gonna kill him. Then he ran up the stairs. He had a noose made out of an electrical wire. He put it around his neck and he jumped off the stairs over the balcony and killed himself. When the emergency medical technician and the police arrived, he had been dead for about 20 minutes. And in front of them, the body sat up, opened its eyes, which were completely black, looked at the woman, the emergency medical technician, and said, he's ours now. You can't have him. And then the body dropped down again. 2 of those police have already quit the police force.
It's amazing. So that happened in Jersey, right? Yes.
That was in New Jersey.
Chris, I want to thank you very much for the time that you had with us, for having this interview for Paranormal World Peru and Contacto TV.
My pleasure. If anyone needs help,
publication more often, I'm gonna have your link for the Warren Legacy Foundation down here in the comments on YouTube. And please, guys, follow the Warren Legacy Foundation. I have seen some videos that are really cool. You have to go and subscribe to the link. Okay.
If you need help, we're here for you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Chris, for everything.
My pleasure. God bless you.
God bless you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bueno, contactados, y con esto cerramos esta entrevista alucinante con Chris McKinnell. 2 generaciones, una misma misión: enfrentar lo que no todos se atreven a ver. Si esta entrevista activó tu radar paranormal, déjanos tu like, coméntanos qué parte te impactó más y comparte este video a otros buscadores del misterio. Gracias a Eric Carrillo, nuestro amigo y corresponsal en Estados Unidos. Pueden seguirlo en Facebook como Mundo Paranormal Perú, donde comparte contenido exclusivo sobre lo desconocido. Y si quieres ver más del el trabajo de Chris McKinnell, puedes encontrarlo en el canal Warren Files, donde sigue el legado de los Warren con nuevos casos reales en todo el mundo. ¿Y tú qué opinas? ¿Crees que estos objetos realmente están cargados con algo más que solo historia? Si aún no formas parte de la legión de contactados, este es el momento. Suscríbete al canal, activa la campana de notificaciones para que no te pierdas los próximos episodios. Síguenos en nuestras redes sociales, ahí soltamos pistas, fotos, videos y datos que no verás en ningún otro lado. Y no te olvides, esto es Contacto TV.